The last supply van rattled away down the single-track road, and the wet dusk of the Highlands folded around Glenbrewer Castle like a damp cloak. Inside the great hall, the air smelled of beeswax, stone, and the faint metallic tang of tuned strings. I plucked an arpeggio to hear how the room would answer. The notes leapt upward into vaulting dark timber and came back warm. Acoustically perfect, though nothing else about this weekend felt remotely in tune. I was here to play harp for Charlotte Dupont and Jasper Hallam's elopement, a 2-day celebration attended by exactly 11 souls. The couple, their attendants, one impossible wedding planner, a chef, a caretaker couple, the minister, and me. The closest village was 18 miles downhill. The only cell signal flickered like a candle in wind. Glenbrewer, the brochure bragged, was so private that one must converse with the ghosts for company. I had not expected we might need to consult them quite so soon. At the rehearsal dinner, I watched the living counterparts instead. Charlotte, platinum blonde and high-key everything, laughed in staccato bursts that made the candles quiver. Jasper, tall and prematurely grey, kept his smile turned slightly toward her, yet never quite reached her eyes. Maid of honour Fiona, Charlotte's younger sister, drank champagne as if her glass were a shield. And Oliver Drake, the best man, sat at the far end of the long table, shoulders hunched, eyes somewhere beyond the mullioned windows, where black hills dissolved into black sky. He rose part way through the venison course and murmured an apology. I saw him pocket a slim leather notebook as he left. A moment later, Charlotte's laughter stopped, Jasper's fork paused mid-bite, and a silence widened like a crack in ice. No one spoke of Oliver again that night. I carried my harp to the music room, meaning to run through the ceremony set before sleeping. Mid-scale, the lowest C rattled. One nylon string had frayed to floss. Odd. I had checked each course in Edinburgh. The other strings glimmered intact, but my spare roll of nylon was missing from the case. I told myself the caretaker, Mrs. Mackey, might have tidied it elsewhere. Still, the hairs on my arms prickled, as if a draught passed through, though every window was latched. I did not see Oliver again until dawn, and by then he could not see me at all. Screams carry far in stone corridors. Fiona's shriek dragged me from a dream, the sound layered with gull cries and wind. I threw on a jumper and followed it up the twisting stair that led to the battlements. Oliver lay crumpled on the interior walk, rain needling his face. His tuxedo shirt was open at the throat, and beneath the purpling bruise on his forehead, his skin had the waxen transparency of scoured marble. One arm dangled over the wall's edge, as though he had been reaching for something in the courtyard 40 feet below. Jasper knelt beside him, hands slick with rain, and something darker. Charlotte stood immobile, silver robe clinging to her, eyes huge as unblinking moons. Fiona whispered. He jumped, over and over until Marina the planner guided her away. There was no doctor, no constable, no helicopter that could land in the gale. Only Jared Mackey, the caretaker, an ex-medic with trembling fingers, confirmed that Oliver was quite gone. Neck snapped, he muttered. Instant. Upon that pronouncement, time fractured into small, stunned errands. Mrs. Mackey covered the body with a tarpaulin. Jasper stumbled downstairs to call emergency services on the castle landline. The operator promised an officer once the mountain road reopened. Charlotte retreated to her chamber. The rest of us wandered the keep in a daze, like guests at a banquet suddenly forbidden to leave the table. Further, I had learned long ago that silence around death is heavier than any dirge. So I carried my harp into the morning room and began to play, soft airs I remembered from funerals. Strings thrummed beneath my fingers, but a single note rang false, that missing low C. I felt again the absence of the spare string, and with it something else. Certainty that Oliver Drake had not stolen nylon to mend a harp. Mrs. Mackey entered, wiping her eyes on her apron. "Miss Moreau, there's tea when you're ready." "Thank you." "Mrs. Mackey, did you tidy my case last night? One roll of strings is gone." She looked puzzled. "No, dear. Never touch instruments. Mr. Mackey's rule." A scrape of wool at the doorway. Jasper, shoulders squared, face washed blank. "Forgive the interruption," he said. "I must ask that everyone remain indoors until the police arrive. No one leaves the grounds." His tone pretended to be firm. His eyes fluttered like moths against glazed glass. He left. Mrs. Mackey murmured, "Poor man," though I could not tell which man she meant. I retuned the harp's C down an octave to mask the gap, but the sourness lingered in the room like the smell of cold iron. Oliver Drake, I thought, would not have ended himself the night before his best friend's wedding. He had looked ill at ease at dinner, yet a restless energy clung to him, as though his mind chased something urgent. Suicides I'd known professionally. There have been a few. Musicians move in fragile company, project a stillness before the fall. Oliver had been all static electricity, a storm waiting to ground. I found an umbrella and slipped onto the battlements. The rain had slowed to a sullen mist. A dark smudge marred the stone parapet, where Oliver must have climbed or been hauled. Beside it, a single blonde hair fluttered, caught on a crenellation. Charlotte's? Perhaps, yet it might have come from any past bride who leaned out to call across centuries. I kept it, nonetheless, wrapped in tissue. Leaning over the wall, I saw something gleam on the wet flagstones far below. A silver rectangle, smartphone screen reflecting grey sky. No one had retrieved it. If the phone had fallen with him, it could be the last witness. Below, the courtyard gate was padlocked. The only keys hung in Jared Mackey's office. Jasper's decree held, but my fingers itched the way they do before a difficult passage. You rehearse each motion silently, then execute without hesitation. I found Jared inventorying wine in the cellar. A hip flask protruded from his tweed waistcoat. "Terrible business," he muttered. "Bloody roads. Constable'll be ours." "May I walk in the courtyard, Mr. Mackey? Music helps me think, and I need open air." He weighed the request, then thrust a ring of keys into my hand. "Quickly then. Mind the press don't get wind. We'll have helicopters thick as midges Monday." I hurried upstairs, boots slapping on flagstone, unlocking the iron gate after 2 attempts. The phone lay face down. Rain spidered across the cracked glass. When I picked it up, the screen lit, still alive on 10% battery, and locked. A pattern of smudges hinted at the passcode. I tried 2, today's date. Nothing. I wiped and tried 203, then 43, Jasper's birthday mentioned at dinner. 9 attempts left. I scanned the courtyard in frustration and noticed a splash of cobalt near the drain, a torn envelope soaked to pulp. Oliver's tidy handwriting bled across the fragment I could read. Not bluffing. Meet me in the tower by midnight, or they'll all know. I pocketed phone and envelope in a sealed bag from my harp kit. As I locked the gate behind me, I saw Jasper watching from the library window. His face vanished when our eyes met. V-storms lock castles in timelessness. Afternoon might have been evening. Marina convened us in the dining room with sandwiches no one ate. The wedding is, of course, postponed, she said, voice pitched in brittle professionalism. The authorities ask we refrain from alcohol. They also request we each write a brief account of the night's events. Fiona burst into tears. Charlotte slipped an arm around her sister, but looked over Fiona's head at Jasper. He stared at the tablecloth. I asked, "May I see Oliver's note, the one found on him?" An innocent question. There is always a note in suicides, the newspapers teach. There was none, Jasper said. Just his wallet. Marina nodded. Pockets empty otherwise. Which was not true. There had been at least a phone once. I felt it warm against my thigh. Safe back in my room, I spread the evidence across the duvet. Phone, envelope fragment, blonde hair. The last was scarcely proof of anything, yet the other pieces hummed in discordant triads. Message, meeting, missing phone. My reflection in the small gilt mirror looked pinched. I reminded myself I was a harpist, not Hercule Poirot. Still, music theory and detective work share one rule. No misplaced note is innocent. I unlocked my laptop and connected a charging cable to the drowned phone. Miraculously, it accepted power. The lock screen showed a photograph of Loch Lomond. No faces, no clues. The battery climbed from 4 to 5%. I opened the console utility, attempted a soft bypass. No good. I needed the code. I paced the room, plucking silent strings along the harp's column. Patterns, numbers that mattered to Oliver or to Jasper. Their university matriculation year? First business IPO? Then I thought of music. At dinner, Oliver had complimented my rendition of Pachelbel, saying, "I tried to teach Jasper that bass line freshman year. His left hand never behaved. Canon in D, the 8-note sequence professional harpists dread, because guests always ask for it." I sat at the phone and tapped 1-4-5-2-6-8-3-4, the scale degrees of the canon's ostinato. The phone opened. I exhaled loud enough to startle myself, then searched messages. The most recent thread was titled Simply Hallam. At 22:47, Oliver had written, "Tower midnight, bring cash or confess, your choice." One earlier message read, "Final figure, 2 million souls, I'm done haggling." Blackmail, ancient as lutes and daggers. I scrolled deeper. Links to articles on data mining scandals, internal emails from Hallam Analytics, whistleblower complaints. Enough to raise Jasper's reputation and vaporize his fortune. I felt no triumph, only the cold weight of what truth might demand. Poor Oliver, poor foolish Oliver. A new ping startled me. The phone, now at 10%, had connected to the castle's creaky Wi-Fi and downloaded an unread email from charlotteyoyotrust.co.uk subject, tonight time, 19:02. He won't pay, meet me first, we'll fix this together. So the bride had known. I wondered whom she wanted to fix. 7. At 6 the constable radioed the caretaker. Landslide blocked the road. Earliest arrival, midnight. A hush of dread moved through corridors brighter for the lanterns now lit. We orbited one another like uneasy satellites, bound by gravity of tragedy. I cornered Fiona on the grand stair. She looked hollow, mascara bruising her cheeks. "Forgive me," I began. "I need to ask about last night." She nodded, numb assent. "Did Oliver seem depressed?" "No, anxious, yes. He asked me whether Charlotte ever quit anything halfway." I laughed. "My sister? Never." Fiona's mouth twisted. Then he said something about one final push. I thought he meant Jasper's wedding nerves. "Did you see Charlotte after dinner?" "She went to her suite early. Too much champagne. No argument with Oliver. Not that I heard, but the walls are thick as coffins. I found Charlotte in the bridal dressing room, lit by rows of bulbs like a marionette theatre. She brushed her hair in long, precise strokes. "You play beautifully, Lily," she said, as though we were discussing invitations. "Tomorrow we'll plan a memorial. Oliver adored Handel." "Did he?" I kept my voice even. "I think he preferred truth to Baroque ornament." Her hand paused mid-stroke. "Meaning?" I showed her the email. She inhaled sharply. "You stole his phone." "Took off the ground, after someone pried it from his dying hand and tossed it." Blue eyes hardened to glass. "What do you want?" "Answers. Jasper's secret, your part in it, why Oliver died." A bitter laugh escaped her. "You think I killed him?" "Lily, darling, I weigh 8 stone and can't open a pickle jar. Jasper met Oliver in the tower, yes, but I didn't arrange murder. I begged Jasper to settle. He refused, said paying would be admission of guilt. So Jasper threw him. Or Oliver slipped in the struggle." She stood, paced before the vanity. "I love Jasper, but there are things even I won't forgive. The scandal, stealing user data to sell to foreign bidders. It's true. Oliver had proof. He wanted hush money, yes, but he also wanted Jasper to come clean. I thought if Jasper faced ruin now, better than prison later." She hugged herself. "Last night I wrote my own ultimatum, pay or confess or no wedding. He stormed out. And you did nothing. I'm not proud." Her voice cracked. "But when Jasper returned, drenched, shaking, I knew. He said Oliver was dead. I was scared, of losing him, of being named accomplice. So I helped him wash his jacket, hid the phone in my robe pocket, intending to sink it in the loch. Must have fallen when we reached Oliver on the battlements. The blonde hair on stone, I thought. Proof of her presence. Why tell me this? Because you're not bound to him, or to me. You're the only one who might choose justice instead of loyalty." "Justice for whom?" I asked. "Oliver blackmailed, Jasper corrupted, you concealed. The police will devour that." She lowered her brush. "What will you do?" Maest's evening mass bell tolled 9 from a clockwork motor in the chapel. I carried my harp there, said it needed the humidity. Truth, I needed the thinking space. The nave's stained glass glimmered in candlelight. I played slow chords, felt vibrations climb the column into my sternum. Music is math breathed into bone. When the equations balance, they sing. I sought balance here. Oliver had pursued money and morality in the same gamble and lost. Jasper had killed, or at least let him die. Charlotte was complicit. But did I believe the law would pierce Jasper's legal armor? Hallam Analytics could bury evidence, hire experts to recut timelines. Witnesses would fracture under cross-examination. I saw Charlotte, pale on the stand, recanting. I stopped playing. The harp's resonance faded, leaving me with a pulsing ache behind my eyes. Sometimes a single broken string ruins an entire performance. Best not to play at all. I called the only reliable emergency number, BBC Investigations tip line. A reporter named Singh answered. "Record," I instructed, and read every detail from Oliver's files, emailed the archive from the phone, then boxed the device and envelope fragment, sealed them in my spare soundboard crate, addressed to Singh at Broadcasting House. The caretaker's cousin drove a post van down early each dawn. Parcels travelled anonymously the world over. When I finished, I felt lighter, as if I had tuned a stubborn string at last, X. At 11:30, I found Jasper in the library, fire dying low. He poured 2 whiskies, his hand trembled, but his smile was courtroom smooth. "Could use music," he said. "Something soothing. I'm off the clock. Besides, I'm short a string." He gestured to an armchair. I remained standing. Oliver's death, I began, and he flinched, only slightly, but enough. Police arrive soon. They'll ask if anyone quarrelled with him. They'll see the bruises on his wrists scrape on your thumb. I tried to grab him, Jasper said quickly. He pulled away. You'll forgive me if I reserve judgment. Cold anger lit his eyes. Be careful, Ms. Moreau. Defamation is expensive. So are cover-ups. I've sent material to journalists. The truth will crest the landslide by sunrise. Glass cracked in his grip. He set it down. You made yourself pivotal. They'll call you for comment. What will you say? That Oliver Drake died under suspicious circumstances, and that he left his evidence with me for safekeeping. Silence roared between us until footsteps echoed in the hall. The front doors banged open. Pale torchlight danced. Constable Ray arrived with 2 deputies, their badges silver sparks in the gloom. Jasper straightened his jacket. Let's meet our guests. Dawn seeped through arrow slits while statements were taken. I surrendered Oliver's phone to Ray, minus the duplicated data already en route to London. Charlotte confessed her part before anyone questioned her. She named Jasper as last to see Oliver alive. Fiona corroborated nothing, yet contradicted nothing. Marina provided timeline logs. The caretaker couple vouched for my parcel, though not its contents. By 8, the constable escorted Jasper in handcuffs to the Land Rover. Not arrested, merely detained. Yet his expression, bleak and hunted, told me he sensed the rising tide. Charlotte watched from the steps, lips white. She did not speak to him. When the engines had faded, she turned to me. Was this mercy or vengeance? Truth, I said. May it set someone free. She nodded and walked inside. I packed my harp, replaced the missing string. The roll had been tucked beneath the music stand after all, perhaps knocked loose in transit, an innocent accident amid darker designs. Funny how the smallest loss had led my eye to every greater one. Before leaving, I returned to the chapel. The castle felt emptied of malice, just ancient draughts and the hush of heathered hills. I played a final piece, Francois-Joseph Naderman's Allegro, bright, resolute, full of running triplets that chase like clean rain over stone. For Oliver, for Charlotte, for the weight of choices. The melody flew upward into the rafters. And for a moment Glenbrewer Castle listened, suspended between echo and silence, balanced perfectly on the thin, vibrating line of a single string found again.